Hey guys, so today we are going to learn about scapula. So I'm going to tell you NEET point of view also, which are the important points, and also the points which are important exam point of view. Actually, scapula is really very important. They usually ask in Viva. And in NEET also, yes, the levels, what levels that, the levels of the scapula. We have to remember that. It is asked in NEET. Now, first I'm going to tell you how to determine the side of the scapula. So basically, this is a scapula. Now this is a left scapula. So I'm going to hold it in my left hand. And how will you know it's left or right? See, always this is a cavity. You can say this is the glenoid cavity. Okay, so or the lateral angle, so this should face always laterally. Okay, the this is the acromion process, this also should face laterally, so you come to know. Yeah, and the medial side, the border is really very thin, whereas the lateral border you see it is the glenoid. uh, it is just the lateral angle, it has the lateral border. So this is the way you determine the side. So you hold it this way, okay, the scapula. Now, I'm going to tell you different angles of scapula. So this is the above here, which is really very thin. Therefore, it is broken over here. It's a really old bone. So over here is the upper angle, superior angle of the scapula. This is the inferior angle of the scapula, and then finally this is the lateral angle of the scapula. Actually, what happens is, so this is called as glenoid cavity or glenoid fossa. So it is also called as lateral angle. Okay, it's, yeah. So which are the three angles? The superior angle, this one, then the inferior angle, and finally the lateral angle, which is the glenoid cavity only. Okay, and then these were the three angles. Now let's discuss the borders of the scapula. So the scapula, it has three borders, three angles there, so three borders भी होते हैं, ठीक है. So the medial, this is the medial border of the scapula. So if you see this, it's so thin, it's really very thin, and it extends from the superior angle to the inferior angle. So it's a very thin border, okay. And so this is the lateral border of the scapula. Now if you see the lateral border, it's thick, right? It's really thick as compared to the medial border. It's so thin, it's so thick. And the upper part of the lateral border, there is something you can see here, this. So this is called as the glenoid tubercle. There are two glenoid tubercles. This is the superior glenoid tubercle here, and the inferior glenoid tubercle. So this is the inferior glenoid tubercle. So this lateral, so the lateral border of the scapula, in its uppermost end, it has the inferior glenoid tubercle. And then finally we come to the superior border. So the superior border, it's really very, it's thin also, and it's small also, and also you see here this structure over here, this, it's a notch, right? And this part you can see, this is the Coracoid process. Okay, so what, at the root of the Coracoid process there is this notch. Okay, so the superior border, it bears this notch called, this notch is called as suprascapular notch. So this notch is called as the suprascapular notch. Always remember. Okay, and what, okay, we'll discuss it later, the importance of this notch. Okay. So we are done with the borders, we are done with the angle, we are done with the side determination of the scapula, and now we come with the, so different processes of the scapula. So let's understand. So this is the spine of the scapula. You can see this is the spine of the scapula. And if you see the spine, so this part is called as the crest of the spine. Okay, so this crest of the spine, it forms the posterior border of the spine. Okay, and this crest, it has the upper lip and it has a lower lip. I'm not sure if you all can see this on the camera, but this is the crest and it has a upper lip and a lower lip. Cool. So this was about the spine. Now this is the acromion process. Spine ऐसे आता है and it terminates with the acromion process. So it's the acromion process is going to face laterally. It's going to be on the lateral part. Okay, so now let's see. Let's go more into detail about the acromion process. So it has the medial border. This is the medial border of the acromion process, and this is the lateral border of the acromion process. Okay. These were the borders, the medial and the lateral. Then it has two surfaces, two borders, two surfaces. So this forms superior surface, okay, and then this forms the inferior surface. So the medial border, then the lateral border, then the superior surface, and then the inferior surface, this one. Okay, this was about the acromion process. And now we come to the coracoid process. So this is the coracoid process. Just remember, it goes a little bit forwards and then turns lateral. See this. Forward जाता है पहले, थोड़ा सा forward and then laterally. So you got all the processes. So this is the spine. Again, I'm just going to repeat all the processes. This was the spine of the scapula. This is the acromion process. This is the coracoid process. Now the angles of the scapula, the superior angle, the inferior angle, the lateral angle, or the iliac cavity. And then there are three borders. There is the medial border, which is really very thin. Then there is the lateral border, which is thick. Superior border is this is also very thin, which was a suprascapular notch. This one. So you got all the borders, angles, and blah blah, surfaces. Okay. So now I'm going to tell you about the surfaces of the scapula. So this is the costal surface of the scapula. Why? Because the costal. Just remember costal cartilage. Where are they going to be? They're going to be the front, right? So the costal surface, and then this is concave. If you see, it's concave. And then this is the dorsal surface. Dorsal surface, though we saw, right? There is a spine. The spine, it divides the dorsal surface into the supraspinous and infraspinous fossa. Okay. So this is the costal surface, which is concave, and the dorsal surface, it has a spine which divides the scapula into supraspinous fossa and the infraspinous fossa. Okay, now we come to the attachments. Now we have done everything which is. So guys, now I'm going to show you all something which you all can visualize about. Okay, visualize it, the muscles. I know it's a little confusing. So over here, if you see, now this is the spine of the scapula. So this is the root of the spine, right? So over here, which muscle is attached? Medially. Okay, this is the medial border, root of the spine, and at the root of the spine on the medial border, here this muscle, the small muscle, this is rhomboid minor. Okay, minor हमेशा ऊपर होता है. Just remember it that way. And this is rhomboid major. It's attached to the medial border. It extends from the root of the spine to the inferior angle of the scapula. Okay. And now if you see this muscle, this is Levator Scapulae. So this is attached on the superior angle of the scapula. It extends from the superior angle of the scapula to the root of the spine. This is that muscle. Okay. Now some muscles I'm going to show you all is that it's here. So this muscle, now it's this is the dorsal surface of the scapula, okay, and this is the spine. Above the spine, supraspinous fossa, there is supraspinatus muscle. Below the spine, there is infraspinous fossa. In that, there is infraspinatus muscle. Okay. Now it is really now that I'm trying to show you still. Okay. So So always remember minor is always above. So this muscle over here, it's teres minor, and this muscle over here, it's teres major muscle. Okay. So yeah. So guys, the muscles which are attached on the coracoid process, you can visualize it by this image. It's really very beautiful. Ligaments are not shown here. Like there is only one ligament shown, but I'll show you the muscles really nicely. Okay. So if you see this one, yeah. So this is shows the short head of biceps and coracobrachialis. So this muscle here is the coracobrachialis muscle, which is attached to the coracoid process. So it in its name only it has coracobrachialis. So it's coracoid process, and then here is the short head of biceps. This is also attached to the coracoid process. And here comes the teres minor, pectoralis minor muscle, which is also attached to the coracoid process. So which are the three muscles I told you? One is the short head of biceps, the coracobrachialis, and the pectoralis minor. The coracobrachialis, short head of biceps, from where it comes to that, and from the thoracic, from here there is the pectoralis minor muscle. And this one is the coracoclavicular ligament. So you can see this is the clavicle. This is the coracoid process. So between the coracoid process and the clavicle, this is coracoclavicular ligament. This is the only ligament shown here, but there are three. Okay, so just remember this much. It becomes really very easy to visualize. So sometimes I had to ratify things because I did not have so much of time to go and search for each and every image and all. But it's good. Like I have collected all these pictures so that you all can visualize it. So yeah, guys. So guys, now we are going to discuss about the attachments of the scapula. Okay. So see now. So this scapula is the left side scapula. So I'm going to hold it in my left hand. Now this is the costal surface, right? So on the costal surface, from its medial part, okay, there arises subscapularis muscle. Okay, so यहाँ पे you will have the subscapularis muscle. Okay, and then if you turn it on its dorsal surface of the scapula, the spine divides into the dorsal surface of the scapula into the supraspinous fossa and then the infraspinous fossa. Then in the infraspinous fossa, from its medial 2/3, okay, including the lower surface of the spine. So the medial 2/3, including the lower surface of the spine, okay, it gives rise to the infraspinatus muscle. So infraspinous fossa means infraspinatus muscle. It goes with the name only, the fossa and the muscle, okay. And then now the supraspinous fossa. So what will be the name of the muscle? Supraspinatus muscle. It's going to arise from the medial 2/3 of this, and some part also arises is there on the attached to the upper part of the spine. So it's here. This part gives gives rise to the supraspinatus muscle. So now we learned about subscapularis, the supraspinatus muscle, infraspinatus muscle. Now let's come to the deltoid muscle, which is the favorite question of the examiner. They usually ask for deltoid, the nerve supply, its attachments, its actions. So let's do deltoid. So where is deltoid attached? So basically, first we need to understand that as I told you all, that this is the spine, right? It has a crest. Posterior body is also called as crest, okay? And the crest has the lower lip and the upper lip. So now we'll see, okay, understand. So now the deltoid is attached to the lower lip of the spine and then to the lateral border of the acromion process. Okay, so deltoid gets attached like that here. Getting it? And then finally there is here, so it's like that. So if the deltoid goes like this from here laterally, okay, and then this is on the lower lip and on the lateral border of the acromion there is deltoid. Now on the upper lip, there is the attachment of the muscle called trapezius. Okay, so upper lip पे trapezius attached होता है, and also on the medial border of the acromion process. So it goes from the upper lip of the spine to the medial border of acromion process. And there was deltoid, lower lip of the spine and lateral border of the acromion process. Okay, so these were the 5 muscles which we learned till now. Now let's see the other attachments of the scapula. The serratus anterior muscle. So let's see the attachments of this. So basically it is inserted on the medial border of the costal surface of the scapula. So one digitation gets attached, Now see, this is the superior angle and this is the root of the spine. So over here there is insertion of one digitation, okay, between this here, okay, and then there are 2 digitations inserted exactly on the medial border, okay, and then 5 digitations are inserted onto the inferior angle of the scapula. So this was about the serratus anterior muscle, and then let's understand the long head of biceps gets attached to the superior glenoid tubercle. Now do you remember this is the glenoid cavity or the glenoid fossa. So this is it's above this fossa there is superior glenoid tubercle, below this is inferior glenoid tubercle. Superiorly, there is an attachment of the long head of biceps, and below there is attachment of the long head of triceps. Okay, so now this is really important, okay, the attachments of the glenoid tubercle they ask always. And now let's see the coracoid process. This also asked, okay. So see, remember on the coracoid process there are 3 muscles attached, 3 ligaments attached. We'll come to the ligaments. First I'm going to tell you the muscles. The 3 muscles are, नाम से ही पता चलता है, coracobrachialis muscle, okay, the coracobrachialis muscle. Then there is pectoralis minor muscle, and then there is short head of biceps. So the 3 muscles are the short head of biceps, the pectoralis minor muscle, and the coracobrachialis muscle. Okay, so these were the 3 muscles. Now let's come to the ligaments. Now this is a scapula. So the clavicle will be okay. Chalo. The ligament between the coracoid process and the acromion process will be called as the coracoacromial ligament. Okay, so this is one ligament, coracoacromial ligament. Second ligament is now here there is the attachment of the humerus, right? Humerus will be attached here. So the ligament between the coracoid process and the humerus, that's going to be the coracohumeral ligament. Okay, and now the third ligament is the coracoclavicular ligament. Now the clavicle gets attached over here, right? Over here there is a facet, okay, on the acromion process. So here the clavicle is going to get attached. So now the ligament which is going to be between the coracoid process and the clavicle, that's going to be the coracoclavicular ligament. So I'm going to repeat the structures on the coracoid process. It's really important, keep in mind. So the muscles, there are the short head of biceps, then the pectoralis minor muscle, and then finally the coracobrachialis muscle. The 3 ligaments, the coracohumeral ligament, the coracoacromial ligament, and finally the coracoclavicular ligament. So remember the structure of the coracoid process. And then next we come to then the teres minor muscle. It arises from the lateral border, but the dorsal surface of the lateral border. Okay, तो ये lateral border है, उसका anterior surface, ventral surface भी होता है. There is a dorsal surface also. But now this teres minor from the dorsal surface of the lateral border. Okay, it is attached. Okay, and then in upper 2/3 is the teres minor muscle, and then below 1/3 on the dorsal surface only, on the border is the teres major muscle. Okay, and then if you see between the superior angle and the root of the spine, on the medial side there is attachment of the levator scapulae muscle. Okay, and then finally on the medial border there is attachment of rhomboid minor and rhomboid major. So rhomboid minor, it's going to get attached just opposite to the root, just here. Okay, and then between the root and the inferior angle there is going to be attachment of rhomboid major muscle. Okay, then the capsule of the shoulder joint and the glenoid labrum, it is attached on the margins of the glenoid cavity. Okay, so yeah, that's all about the clavicular. The applied I'm going to tell you all now. There is a condition called as winging of scapula. In this there is paralysis of serratus anterior muscle. So because of that, what is going to happen is our hand cannot be abducted more than 90 degrees Celsius. Okay, and what happens is the medial border really becomes prominent. So it's really important, and the teachers ask in Viva winging of scapula. So you all should remember about winging of scapula. Then there is Scaphoid Scapula. This is a congenital abnormality. The medial border of the scapula, this medial border of the scapula, it is concave. This is a congenital disorder. So that's all about scapula, guys. I hope it was a good revision. See, everything was from Chaurasia. So even if you just listen to my video, if you're not in a mood to study or anything, refer to the books, ho jayega. You all can answer. So I have told you all according to that. One more thing. Suprascapular notch. The teachers ask what passes through it. So there is suprascapular nerve and the suprascapular vessels. They pass through it. Okay. So they ask in Viva. So just remember that. Okay, yeah, that's it about scapula. So guys, thank you so much.